Make Peace with Nature is a syndicated public affairs presentation of this station dealing with solutions to problems of energy, conservation, and the environment. Today's program will be hosted by David Serber.
Hello, and welcome to Make Peace with Nature. In past years, we have examined the work of volunteer groups who have spent thousands of hours cleaning and restoring the Mill Creek waterway, which flows from north to south along the west side of Cincinnati for some 28 miles until it reaches the Ohio River. In 1992, the Ohio Department of Health warned that no one should eat the fish, if any, which were caught from the Mill Creek, nor should anyone swim in the river. Much of that has changed significantly and for the better. So today we present a close look at the work of a group with a different and important perspective, Groundwork Cincinnati. They and their members focus on connecting local residents to nature. They are concerned about the Mill Creek as a teaching tool in matters of social and environmental justice. It is a great pleasure then to welcome Tanner Yes, a key member of the staff of Groundwork Cincinnati. Despite his young age, Tanner is very much up to the task. He studied at NKU and UC and also served in Kenya and Costa Rica and even spent time on a fishing vessel in the Bering Sea as a NOAA scientist. Tanner was a Peace Corps volunteer in Thailand, and where, in that capacity I should say, he was concerned about natural resource management, environmental education, and ecotourism. More after this.
The views expressed on Make Peace with Nature are those of the participants and not necessarily those of this station or the program's underwriters.
Tanner Yes, correct pronunciation?
Yes.
Yes. Tanner Yes is my guest today, and he is here to discuss his role in the work of Groundwork Cincinnati. So welcome to the show. Very nice to have you here.
Thanks,
Thank you
David.
very much.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the viewers in your words what Groundwork Cincinnati is and what it seeks to do?
Well, you found all that nice stuff about me somewhere, and you said I was a key staff member. And in an office of 3, you basically have to be a key staff member. So first, I have to acknowledge our executive director, Robin Carruthers, who's been a champion in the Cincinnati area for environmental issues and sustainability for many years, and our education director, Alan Edwards. Mm-hmm. So us 3 as a team do a great job. We're a small but mighty nonprofit. Like you said, Groundwork has been around for 22 plus years now.
I didn't say that.
You didn't?
Now you're telling me. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, let's pretend like you did. We've been around for 22 plus years now, and in that time we've worked mostly on initiatives regarding the Mill Creek waterway, but we've also become a Groundwork Trust. So we started as the Mill Creek Restoration Project, and now we've become a Groundwork Trust, and with that we've taken on a lot of social and environmental justice issues. So we're pretty all-encompassing. We've done restoration projects. We have a large education program which engages 800 to 1,000 students per year in water quality monitoring and service learning on the river. We also employ youth, and during that employment they learn restoration, they learn about green careers, mentoring, they have experiences in recreation and service learning. So those are our 3 main projects, I guess, including trails and trailways. We run the Mill Creek Greenway Trail.
How can you do that with 3 people?
Yeah, how can we? Well, this might be the theme of the night. Everything that Groundwork does and all of the success that we share is, of course, a collaborative effort. So it's all volunteers, youth, students. These are how we get things done. And Groundwork works, I guess, is what we like to say, and it works on the back of collaborations and partnerships.
Mm-hmm. Now, you did mention that, and I try to make the separation in my opening statement, that you are not concerned, you're concerned, but you're not involved in any of the actual steps which have been taken to try to clean up the river so that it would be one day safe to eat the fish and possibly even to swim.
Glad that you mentioned.
At this point, most of it isn't safe to eat. It's not safe to eat fish you might catch if you can find any. Yeah. And it certainly wouldn't, you wouldn't go swimming in it, would you?
Not after a rainy day, but no, we don't recommend swimming or eating fish. But I would say that we've been involved in the restoration and the regeneration, especially in our early years as the Mill Creek Restoration. We've done dozens of restoration projects, whether that's stream bank improvements, stream regrading, reforestation, and now those projects sort of continue in the maintenance of those things. So I'd say a large part of what we do, and especially the student and the youth component, is engaging them in being stewards and in maintaining all the good work that we've done over the years.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me a couple of concrete things that you're doing, and then we have some interesting pictures you've provided to us which will help out.
Great.
What, for example, would the students be doing? Would they be going down to the river, for example, and taking samples and testing it? Is that one of the things they do?
Exactly. So we have a year-long education program that has many phases. It starts with sort of an introduction to the Mill Creek, which all the students in the watershed program are located in the watershed. So it's their resource, right? And a lot of them are introduced to it for the first time, and some of them aren't. But it starts with an introduction, and it's very interactive. Our education director does a wonderful job. And we introduce them to the historical perspective of the Mill Creek. And also, yes, during other outings, we go down and sample the water. The students conduct chemical analysis and site surveys. And then also, to finish up, we do service learning. So Groundwork believes a lot in sweat equity. So when you work at a place, you theoretically leave a part of yourself there, and we want them to form that connection with the water resource.
Are these children public school students?
Yeah.
Private school students?
Yeah, mostly CPS schools, and then we also have some private schools or schools outside of CPS, but yeah, mostly CPS in the city, in the Mill Creek watershed.
Right. And does the school system pay for the transportation? What are some of the mechanics that really need to be funded?
Great
here?
question. So far it's been free of charge because of the success of Robin Carruthers and others who have worked with Groundwork. We're able to provide the busing and come in and do the orientations and take them out and supervise them during field work, things like that. So it's a huge component that we constantly need help funding, of course, and we've been lucky and successful for over 20 years now in doing it.
Right. We have some slides that you've provided to us, so if you could look at that set there, please. Now, this tells us what? The name, what are we looking at?
Here we go. First part of the shameless advertising that I'm going to do. Our website's right down there. Please visit. There's obviously all of the information about us you can find. You can donate, you can volunteer. There's a lot of different ways to donate, whether it's time, in kind, things like that. We had wonderful volunteers out today for an event with the Winton Hills community.
Okay. What is this, please?
This is the famous Northside Parade. So we are located, our office physically in Northside. So it's just a nice, colorful shot and a small example of what we do as far as collaboration. So this is Walnut Hills, I believe, on what you were just talking about, a water quality monitoring trip. Right now they're doing macroinvertebrate sampling. So they're checking out the little critters that they found by kick seining and other methods.
Which is a key to the health of the stream.
Exactly. So a lot of these species are indicator species to say it's good health or
They're
bad health.
harbingers of good or bad health.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is right up the road here in Mount Auburn. Part of Groundwork is being kind of an extension or an agent in urban areas for the National Park Service. And this is the Green Team Employment, the youth employment, which I run the program. And here we're at William Howard Taft Historic Site, and we help to beautify the grounds and get acquainted with their national park. This is also the Green Team Summer Youth Employment Program out at Wayne National Forest. Again, public lands or federal lands, which is everyone's birthright. So we want to connect our youth to those lands, whether it be William Howard Taft or out farther on.
All right.
Again, this is Yellowstone, so 2 to 4.
Yellowstone National Park?
Yeah, so again, another federal land. 2 to 4
What
of
do the students do? They're at Yellowstone?
Yes, sir.
How did you get them all the way out there? Where did you get the money for that?
So, I should have mentioned this in the beginning. Groundwork is a national organization. So there are, I think, again, 22 groundworks across the nation.
So this group is not necessarily from our area?
So these are kids from across the country, one of which is from Cincinnati. And youth from across the country meet and engage in projects together and different collaborations once a year.
Excellent.
This is the Mill Creek Greenway Trail present and future phases. So again, there are a lot of trail organizations in town and we all work together, but this is one that Groundwork is a proponent for, and where we have our ecological restoration and edible forest garden sites along the trail.
Right. Is this the last slide? Do you know the answer to that question?
Oh, no, sorry. That is not the last slide.
Apparently not. Now what? Now what?
So this is a before shot. Beautiful. So luckily it's a before. It's a before shot of one of the locations of the Mill Creek Greenway Trail, and you'll see in the next picture here the after of the same location.
Same place?
Yes, indeed. So there's a salvage yard behind there that's still kind of there, but obviously now there's a trail and even.
How long did it take you to convert the first picture into what we see there?
I believe, so this was before my time, I believe it was about 5 years ago, and about a year process of design.
This was done by the students?
No, excuse me. So the trail program is done by leveraging federal funding and other grants, state funding, to get funding to then contract work like that out.
All right. Who are these people?
So these are youth at one of the phase ribbon cutting ceremonies. One of the Mill Creek Greenway Trail phase ribbon cutting ceremonies. So this was phase 4, which goes into Millvale and South Cummingsville. It goes over the Yellow Bridge on the Mill Creek Road. And so when we opened that part of the trail, we had, of course, our youth and students out there to celebrate. So this was a year ago, and some have told me that it looks kind of flimsy, but this is a type of nectarine here, and we have fruit and nuts and other produce along the trail which are free for users, and they're already starting to produce. Last year we had hundreds of apples and pears in this area. This is in Northside. And this is Cincinnati Connects. So recently, Groundwork has spearheaded a project with all of the other trail partners to connect the current or proposed trails in Cincinnati and beyond. So what we're saying here is we'd like an intentional plan for government entities or private funding that's going into trails, and we'd like them to connect for a variety of reasons. Economic vitality, environmental impact, equity in transportation, talent retention, all of these things go into a trail system like this.
Mm-hmm. What sort of, you mentioned funding before. It is a federal IRS nonprofit organization,
Correct.
right? So in addition to people volunteering to either bring the students there or arranging meals or whatever for them, people who want to support it financially can make donations which
Certainly.
are deductible on their federal income
Yes.
tax return?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, again, our website, or you can find all the information on the website, and of course we send a thank you letter with all that information.
Right. Do you want to, we just have a couple minutes in this segment, do you want to speak the website again so people can?
Yeah, it's at www.groundworkcincinnati.
No S on the end.
No S on the groundwork.
Groundwork Cincinnati, all is one word?
All is one word, .org.
.org. Okay, fine. What is coming, what's on the drawing board that we should be discussing to perhaps encourage people to come forward and say, that's interesting, maybe they'll need help with this?
Great question. There's so much. The big thing that's come out, again, is Cincinnati Connects. It's a really robust and impactful plan for connecting our region's trails so that it's an intentional and connected system that's more useful and not just recreation. When we talk about a lot of the environmental justice and social justice issues that Groundwork deals with, we're saying here with this plan, let's have a trail across the city for users in Price Hill, Millvale, South Cummingsville, Northside, et cetera, and beyond, not just in certain areas, but let's connect everyone and give everyone options in transportation.
Well, that's a tall order, isn't it?
Sure. I think $60 million or something.
How much?
$60 million. Go to the website, donate it now.
No.
That's a joke.
Right.
But it's going to take a lot of money.
And a long time.
Yes. But there are examples, there are precedents across the country of cities that have already gotten this type of thing done. So it can be done.
Okay. Well, we have to take a break. Folks, stay with us, please. We'll be right back.
The views expressed on Make Peace with Nature are those of the participants and not necessarily those of this station or the program's underwriters.
I have the pleasure to be interviewing his first appearance on this program, Tanner. Yes, he is, you were not born in Fiji, right?
No.
No.
My mother was.
Your mother. Right.
Yeah.
But you've spent time, according to my research, you have been in Kenya, Costa Rica, and you even served time on a fishing vessel in the Bering Sea as a NOAA scientist. What did you do? I'd be interested
Correct.
in knowing what you did on that vessel.
Sure. I was during undergraduate studies and after, I really relished the opportunity and to take advantage of the opportunities to study and research and work abroad and in different areas. And it was wonderful. It was a great experience. And just to transition, I went into the U.S. Peace Corps, of course. And during Peace Corps service, I learned that the keys to conservation, I guess would say, are not out there maybe in remote places in all these areas I liked working, but they're with people, and it's with changing hearts and changing minds, correct? So I made the decision to work more on a community level and work more in the areas and the arenas that groundwork works in. With more than 80% of the world's population living in urban areas, or at least the US's, conservation is going to be one in these fringe areas where humans and nature collide. So I think that's where the real work is to be done, and especially in youth engagement and education.
Dealing with these young people as closely as you do you get the feeling that they're aware of the consequences of global climate change?
Oh, yeah.
And that unless they do a better job than some of us have done, I speak only for myself, not someone your age,
Sure.
There's some real risks here.
I think they're extremely aware and engaged and up to the task. Constantly surprised about how much knowledge and how much passion that the youth that we work with have for these issues, and even youth that we don't work with are aware and know what's going on.
Right. Are they aware of how serious the problem is? Are they aware, for example, many people who have sat in this chair that you're in, the chair you are in recent weeks have talked about a tipping point because of the sea level rises. Even as we taped this show,
Sure.
there was this town in India where the temperature got up to 124 degrees Fahrenheit. It was the largest high temperature ever recorded for that area of India. 124 degrees. People, thousands of people were killed, and even some of the roadways were melting. And I saw a video from the networks of people trying to cross the street, and their shoes were getting stuck in the macadam, and they had to abandon their shoes. Do the children really grasp as deeply that we're in a bad way here?
Sure, and I think they're more connected.
You understand it, I'm sure,
Yeah,
but do
sure.
Do you teach them this?
Sure, definitely. And I think they're more connected to the world than we've ever been, including myself, and they know what's going on. And of course, there are a lot of unfortunate realities of climate change that are most likely coming and that are going to hit the equatorial areas hardest. But
And
what I can say
Florida.
about
The guest 2 weeks ago said that in 20 years, not so very long, 20 years, you won't even be 50 years old in 20 years, that 80% of the state of Florida will be underwater. His calculations. Well, people the age of the students you're dealing with, by the time they go through college and a career and ready to retire, they won't be able to retire to Florida.
So you're saying I
And this is
shouldn't
not
make an investment
No, I'm just saying
now.
that this is not fantasy physics
Sure.
or fantasy meteorology. This apparently is going to happen. And other guests that I've checked with who've been on the show agree that that's going to happen. So there are going to be a lot of people displaced in the state of Florida in a relatively short time. And the people you're dealing with, again, they can forget about going there to retire.
Oh, for sure.
Now, who ever heard of such a thing? I mean, that's unbelievable.
Most definitely. And hopefully we're at a point where obviously there are going to be impacts of climate change, but hopefully we're at a point, and with youth coming up the way they are, that we can lessen those impacts or do something. What I can say about the youth that we work with and youth that Groundwork USA engages across the country is that they're making impactful changes in their own community, and as we both know, that's where change starts. So with these generations coming up, and as they take your role and my role, et cetera, hopefully there will be enough time to where we could have kind of lessened climate change or the impact.
Right. Now, I've had people on before who are organizing students to do water quality testing along the Mill Creek and the Ohio and other places.
Sure.
And I'm wondering if it isn't as important that the students learn as you orient the science teachers who need a little refresher course perhaps in these things. Do the teachers come with the students, or do you hold separate events in which you explain to the teachers what they need to know about what the kids are going to be doing?
Both. So we'll have a training with the teachers before the year or sometime during the year with just us and the teachers, excuse me. And then the teachers also come out on all the service learning and the water quality monitoring stuff.
Right.
And they're experts in their own right after a year or so in the program.
Are they?
Yeah.
So they can carry on.
For sure.
So again, you're a reflective and intelligent person. You believe, well, I'm being serious.
Thank you.
You believe that these young people that you're working with are the future leaders and concerned people who will take my place, if that's possible, and yours perhaps.
Well, I believe there's no other option, so let's.
So it's just not seen by. What I'm trying to wrap my head around here is: do they just see it as a field trip, a glorified and extended field trip, or do they see it as a substantive basis to spark an interest in nature and the way we have messed it up and fouled it?
Yeah.
And now they're going to be, as a result of your work and hundreds of other groundwork people around the country, going to step up and step into positions of trust and responsibility in which they will begin calling the shots.
Certainly, and I think all of that depends on the quality of the programming and the engagement and the activities, and I think we've had a long history of doing it really well and continue to, and other groundwork trusts and other organizations all across the nation. So yeah, I have a lot of hope for that.
There's a somewhat amorphous, or not amorphous is not the right word, how do you quantify what you've done and mathematically decide whether it's worth the time and the effort?
Great question. I guess that could be answered by another question: how much you value investment in youth. And we do a lot, of course. So we work with hundreds of youth, thousands per year, and then we even go take it to a higher level with the youth employment program. So that's how I would answer that. We're putting all of our resources into that generation and educating, and then of course doing restoration projects in the present and doing greenway projects in the present.
Mm-hmm. The Greenway Trails project is, as you have mentioned, multi-million dollars and ambitious. And the idea of it is it's to run around the complete area, it's to be circular?
Yes. Yeah, so the Cincinnati Connects project, which will have parts of the Mill Creek Greenway Trail in it. The major trails in the area: Mill Creek Greenway Trail, Wasson Way, Ohio River Trail. We also have Little Duck Creek Trail involved. So we studied.
But excuse me, are they not all connected?
No, they're definitely not. And so that was the point of the study. It's a feasibility study. Human Nature Landscape Architects and AECOM were the technical consultants in this, and then all the other trail organizations were advisors.
Well, if those trails already exist, why would it cost $50 million to connect?
They don't exist quite yet.
Well, I thought you just said you just named them. So
yeah,
they're just names,
so they're coming. Yeah, yeah.
They don't exist?
They don't exist yet. Parts of them do. Parts of Ohio River Trail exist. Oasis and Wasson Way have a lot of momentum, so we're hoping that they'll come online soon, and they have their own funding streams that they're hoping for as well. So what we're saying is these will probably come in the future. Let's be intentional about connecting them so that they serve a greater purpose for all residents.
There'll be walking, biking trails. What kind of trails are we talking about?
Yeah, mostly 12-foot wide, paved, walking, biking, jogging trails that can also be used as active transportation in addition to recreation. And again, they'll have environmental impacts of reducing air emissions. If they're greenways, like the Mill Creek Greenway Trail, they can have restoration sites and forest gardening along them. So all sorts of things.
And what's the timetable again? 6 years?
Who knows? Who knows? It all depends on how lucky we get or who decides to step up. And again, it's not groundwork that's the only player
Aren't you
here.
working with Green Umbrella?
Of course, yeah. They're a major partner. Yeah. Most of the environmental organizations in town is, of course, the trail organizations. So we're all working together, and we have a lot of great momentum, so hopefully it'll happen sooner than later.
If people watching wanted to donate, they could specify what the money is to be used for?
Certainly.
Could you just bullet point names of the projects? You've just discussed the Trails project.
Yeah. So Trails, of course, and then the education program, and then the summer youth employment program are kind of the main things.
So you're paying students to work?
Yeah, with the help of the city and the county, we employ this year 14 youth. They are all really special and representative of the area. Especially we try to recruit low-income and minority kids who might not have been exposed to environmental issues or sustainability or green careers, things like that, but have shown an innate attraction. So we recruit through our education program and other partner organizations, and then we put them through training, safety, of course, and all that stuff, mentoring. We do ecological restoration, we do advocacy work, we bike, so that's how we get to our work sites. We bike from site to site. And then we travel and we recreate and do service learning in different parts of the country, national parks that are close and far away.
Right. We just have 1 minute left, and I'd like to give you that minute, and you can address the audience and explain to them as best you're able, and I'm sure you are able, why they should support it financially or otherwise.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So I'll swing this way. Well, there are a lot of environmental organizations in town and across the nation, and I think we're all doing great work, but where Groundwork Cincinnati and other groundworks across the nation really find their niche is in future generations, awareness, advocacy, environmental justice, social justice. So we're really investing in those things, in those generations, and we want equity, basically. I think the themes are equity, diversity, and how would you define diversity? Maybe it's just the representative mix of the population that you're in. So we strive to be inclusive and give especially different ethnicities and backgrounds and incomes a chance in that.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Hope to have you back in a couple of weeks. There's a lot more to talk about.
No doubt.
Thank you. As always, folks, thanks to all of you for taking the time to watch. Please watch next week.